Hello, my name is Joe Micklick. I'm a qualified business and marketing trainer and assessor, and today I will guide you through task 3 of manage meetings. But before I do that, we'll just recap on the past 2 tasks that we've guided you through. So if we go back to task 2 quickly, just to refresh in your memory, there was a requirement where you would have to develop a meeting agenda for assessment task 1. Meeting participation form had to be filled out, which is on this document but in appendix 1. And again, minute take evaluation form, which was in this document but in appendix 2. So we'll just have a look at that quickly and scroll down. So that's completed meeting participation evaluation form, completed minute take evaluation form, the minutes, which are on the other longer document, and the corrected minutes and copy of communication. So let's go down and have a look at these 2 there. They should be within this document. So meeting participation evaluation form, there it is there. So after the meeting that you have conducted as the chairperson, ensure each participant fills out this evaluation form and signs below. So that's one task that needs to be completed. And then as we scroll down, there's a minute take evaluation form. So after the meeting that you have conducted as the chairperson, ensure that your minute taker only now fills out this evaluation form and signs below. So there were those 2 requirements. And in addition to this, there were some templates to be used from the longer document, which was here, the ADEPT-L document. And these documents are hovering down the bottom or the lower section of this document. So if we go scroll up a little bit there, and there we are. So we've got meeting agenda. That was a requirement to use this template because it has the right format, instruction sequence there. See, structure of meeting, heading, content. The meeting minutes template to be used, again, has the right structure, header, content, and correspondence to participants, letter template that needs to be used as well. And there's the right format and structure there. A memo, if it's the memo that you're using for correspondence, or an email, and there's a structured format there. So these are the key areas, and also the meeting agenda as well for the agenda template. So these are the key areas. And meeting minutes template. These are the key areas required for assessment task 2. So we'll go back now to task 3. So therefore, task 2 should now be completed. The meeting is conducted. Follow up and report on the meeting. So we've gone through assessment task 1. We planned for the meeting using our templates, minutes and meeting templates, agenda templates. We've gone now on to conduct the meeting using those 2 documents in appendix 1 and 2. That should be now completed. Now we are on to written reflection of the meeting. So assessment description says this assessment continues from assessment task 1 and 2. You're required to write a reflection on the process you went through to plan, prepare, conduct, and follow up on your meeting. So it's the process. So if we scroll down procedure, write a written reflection on how you planned, prepared, conducted, and followed up on your meeting. Your reflection should discuss the following. So preparing for your meeting, who you invited to your meeting and why you decided they were required to attend, and how you reached that conclusion. The style and structure you chose for your invitation and why. What conventions you decided were appropriate for your meeting, and what organizational and legislative requirements you needed to follow. Remember that you find that in the ADEPT-L long document there. What budgetary considerations you made and how they affected the planning and conducting of your meeting. The meeting papers you choose to prepare Appendix 1 and 2, and within the document, the long Adeptile document, and the distribution method you used to provide those papers to participants, and why these were appropriate. Well, why did you choose a letter rather than an email? Why was a memo used rather than perhaps a letter or an email? Your approach to developing your action plan, including how you decided who should be responsible for which tasks and timeframes for task completion. So you know, the implementation of the action plan. If all required tasks were completed, if they were completed by the person responsible, if they were completed on time, and if not, what you did to make sure they were done. So that's preparing for your meeting. Now, conducting and following up on your meeting. At least one problem that had to be solved during the meeting, the problem-solving technique you used and why, and how this technique assisted you in the problem-solving. Your key responsibilities as chairperson for conducting the meeting. How you would assess your performance in chairing the meeting. That is, were you an effective chairperson or are improvements needed? How well your meeting participants worked together and what group dynamics you needed to manage. The desired outcomes of your meeting, if you achieve them, and the strategies you use to facilitate the outcome. If outcomes were not achieved or not achieved to satisfactory standards, what you could do to improve in facilitating outcomes. Strategies you use to review the meeting minutes to ensure the information presented a true and accurate record of the discussions that occurred during the meeting. If the minutes were a complete and accurate reflection of the discussions, and what, if any, adjustments you made. The method in which you distributed these meeting minutes, why, where, and how they should be stored. If any follow-up documentation was required, and if so, how this documentation was or will be distributed. So the information is assessment specifications. I'll allow you some in your own time to read this information there. And again, some further information in your own time, you can read that there. So we're now into the reflection bit of the meeting. And if we can just go back. We'll have a look at our observation tool as well. So a good indication of what I'll be looking for when I'm evaluating you through the observation tool, student name, student ID, is that I'll be going through this checklist here and making sure that everything has been covered. And then down the bottom, we'll list my grade. So what I'll do is I'll read this information out and you need to keep this in mind because this is what needs to be completed. During the meeting, did the student ensure the meeting venue was safe for all attendees? Correctly brief the minute taker on how to take minutes as per the requirements. Did the student follow the agenda in terms of timelines, including starting on time, keeping discussion on each topic to the designated time in the agenda, and ending on time? And as I go through, I'll be checking or not checking these boxes. Did the student demonstrate? Okay, I'll just put this in bold. During the meeting, did the student demonstrate the ability to effectively chair a formal meeting, including encouraging all attendees to contribute to the discussion and put forth ideas, which is considered a healthy debate? Demonstrated the ability to effectively chair a meeting, including value suggestions and ideas, making sure the meeting stayed on track, ensuring one person did not dominate discussion, making sure all attendees interacted appropriately with each other, such as no raised voices, no arguments, no abusive behavior, or inflammatory statements, intimidation, or derogatory or negative comments, and so on. That is, attendees' safety was considered at all times. It guided the meeting to ensure an outcome for each area was made. Role modeled appropriate behavior, including being respectful and sensitive to others, avoiding of inflammatory or derogatory statements, being professional in their approach and communication, etc. Again, I'll put that in bold. During the meeting, did the student communicate effectively throughout the meeting? Formal meeting, for example, used active listening skills, used clarifying statements where attendees were being unclear in what they were saying. Did they speak clearly, spoke in a volume everyone could hear, avoided raising their voices, avoided talking too fast, used language that everyone could understand, and used appropriate techniques to diffuse situations in which potential conflict could occur. For example, where attendees may not agree with each other or think an idea is not suitable. Considered own body language, for example, not fold their arms or roll their eyes, slouch themselves in the chair, etc. Again, during the meeting, did the student demonstrate the ability to effectively run an informal meeting, including explaining the purpose of the meeting to the attendees, encouraging all attendees to contribute to the discussion and put forth ideas and healthy debates, value everyone's suggestions and ideas, keeping the meeting on track, making sure all attendees interact appropriately with each other, such as no raised voices, no arguments, quite similar to the previous one. Guided the meeting to ensure 3 items were voted on. Role modeled appropriate behavior, including being respectful and sensitive to others, avoidance of inflammatory or derogatory statements, etc. Ensuring the meeting was casual in its approach. There may be some overlaps, you'll find that out, but it's for different contexts, different situations. So this is running informal meeting, this is communicating, and this is communicating but through a formal meeting, formal, informal. So there will be some repeats of some information there, some overlapping. Okay, so during the meeting, did the students communicate effectively throughout the informal meeting? For example, used active listening skills, used clarifying statements where attendees were being unclear in what they were saying, spoke clearly, spoke in a volume everyone could hear, avoided raising their voice, avoided talking too fast, used language that everyone could understand, used appropriate techniques to diffuse situations in which potential conflict could occur. For example, where attendees may not agree with each other or thinks that an idea is not suitable. Considered own body language, to not fold their arms or roll their eyes, something that would indicate negativity. And that's just some information for some reasonable adjustments if need be. Okay, so that's the observation checklist. So essentially tasks 1, 2, and 3 should now be completed. I'll just go through the other documents, making sure that we've got everything covered. Don't forget, this is your Adept Owl simulated business document, the long document. So approximately the last 15 or so pages will come in useful for you. Last 10 or 15 or so pages. Task 2, Task 3, observation tool is completed, and the business document. Okay, so therefore, just in conclusion, you're required to organize the assessment of task to conduct follow-up and report on the meeting, organize students into groups to conduct the meeting. I'll increase this. Each student will take turns to be the chairperson for the meeting on a rotational basis. They'll be required to conduct the meeting with reference to the agenda and notes made earlier in assessment task 1. Each student will also take turns to be the minute taker. So taking turns for the chairperson, running the meeting, and minute taker taking the notes. The minute taker should be pre-assigned to the relevant chairperson. Observe the chairpersons during the meeting and fill in the observation checklist tool provided. And I showed you that only moments ago. After each meeting, remind all students that the relevant feedback forms, participants, and minute taker are to be filled and submitted to the chairperson for compilation and submission with their tasks. So, instructions to you, the student, if you are a participant, familiarise yourself with the agenda and discussion items for the meeting. During the meeting, participate actively in the discussions led by the chairperson. So don't just sit there and not be proactive. You've got to engage in discussions. After the meeting, fill up a participant evaluation form for the chairperson. So that's if you are a minute taker for that meeting, you'll need to fill up the minute taker evaluation form for the chairperson as well. And if you are the chairperson, there'll be 3 roles you'll have. You'll be participants, and either someone will be a minute taker, then another person will be chairperson. So there'll be 3 primary roles. So if you're the chairperson, chair the meeting, encourage discussion in an appropriate manner to facilitate outcomes in line with the meeting's purpose. Appropriately brief the minute taker on requirements and provide a copy of the DEPDAL meeting minutes template. Review meeting minutes to ensure they are complete and accurate. Distribute any follow-up discussion required by meeting outcomes. Ensure that all participants fill up the evaluation forms and collect them back. These forms should be compiled and submitted together with their task. Okay, so that will then conclude task 3 for managed meetings unit. So you would now essentially have completed task 1, 2, and you will now be on to task 3, the written reflection, and going through your requirements here.